what's going on, everybody? This is John Jake Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the Dayton Triangles franchise here on Madden 25, filled with 31 other team builder franchises to create a revamped UFL. We find ourselves here about halfway through the season. It's truly been an excellent season for us. We are 6-2 so far, but the season is certainly far from over, and I want to make sure that we continue to handle our business as we progress through this season. We have another primetime matchup in this episode where we will be taking on the Michigan Panthers, who come in with a solid record themselves. They are 5-3, but on paper, they are a slightly better team than us, but our talent on the roster is about equal, and it should provide us an interesting challenge, right? Michigan has a pretty good offense, led by a top 10 passing attack, but they have struggled to stop teams this year. They are just 22nd in the league in terms of points allowed, and are also in the bottom half in terms of both opponent rushing yards and opponent passing yards per game. So this has the absolute makings of being a shootout, especially if our defense isn't too terribly careful, because even though our defense has played great, it can always be exposed because it's any given Sunday around here, man. So with that being said, before we jump into this game, we actually do have some player upgrades, so let's go ahead and handle that real quick. Alright guys, so we do end up getting upgrades for multiple backups that happen to be located on our roster, so we'll go ahead and take care of these upgrades real fast. The most notable one that we have actually is Joe Spears. Now, Joe Spears has been our return man for us on the team, and he actually does get an upgrade for this particular matchup. He is a 75 right now, but after the power back upgrade, he actually is going to stay there because I wanted to work on his ability to break tackles, and he does at least get that +2 to break tackling. Other players getting upgrades includes the backup safety and Daryl Upshaw, where Upshaw does come in as a 71 overall, so definitely a solid backup to have on our football team. And for this guy, I wanted to work on his run support because he is not a scheme fit for us right this second, and he actually does improve one overall with a +3 to tackling, among other things. Also getting an upgrade is Mitch Woodson. Now, Mitch Woodson is someone that hasn't really seen the field really at all this season, to be honest with you. I don't remember him making a catch, but he's been, someone that's continuing to put in the work, and we have a chance to make him more of a scheme fit, which we will take. And Mitch Woodson, at least to his credit, does become a 70 overall with +2 to ball carrier vision, as well as working on that route running as well. You love to see it. And the last person getting an upgrade is Eric Posey. Now, Eric Posey is someone that we found as an undrafted rookie. He has not seen the field, but someone that, to make a active roster as an undrafted rookie is pretty good. We just need to work on him. He's more of a project for us at this point. Work on his verticality, and he's getting close to being a scheme fit for us actually. Gets +2s to catching and medium route running, and that's going to carry him up to a 66 overall, which I'm pretty happy about. We also have been working on some contract negotiations, and Leon Thomas actually has shown a lot more interest in signing with the team, so definitely want to try and take advantage of that, as we are currently seen as a league favorite when it comes down to winning that championship at the end of the season. So we are going to go ahead, give him this 4-year deal that ends up going for upwards of $83 million. So we will end up signing him. He's been great for us on this team, and so we will get Leon Thomas to sign. Other players I'm definitely interested in having come back also includes Isaiah Connor. Now, Isaiah Connor is also another player that we would really like to have back on our team, and he's been a solid role player when it comes to playing that tackle position, and we'll keep him around as kind of that bridge player, and he does end up signing with us. Meanwhile, another backup that is looking to come back is Connor Heck, and Connor Heck is an average offensive lineman, but I think what role that he has specifically is that he's a good backup. He is a good backup to have, and you can never have too much depth on your team. So we will also have Connor Heck come back, and he will Oh no, he is actually on the fence on this offer, so we might have to touch back on that like next week. However, still a couple of people that we could possibly sign, Seth Knowles being one of them, and we'll sign him to a 1-year deal. He's not great by any means, but would love to have that kind of continuity on the football team, as Seth Knowles actually is going to come back. And then the last contract that we're going to worry about as of right now is Dominic Christmas. Dominic Christmas has a very like high interest in coming back to our football team, and so because of that, we will end up signing Dominic Christmas, who is a decent backup for us. You know, kind of fills as a like a mentor to like Grayson Heidick. So we'll sign him for like $1.5 million, nothing too crazy, and he ends up returning back to the team, which we love to see. Alright boys, so with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get things rolling here. If you enjoy it, man, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you happen to be brand new to the channel. And let's see if we can keep all this positive momentum going, and let's see if we can handle our business against the Michigan Panthers here in this key primetime matchup in the UFL. Let's get it, boys. Alright boys, so let's go ahead and jump into the action. And honestly, you know, it's been a pretty slow starting game. You know, both of us just, you know, kind of feeling each other out a little bit, but we could be seeing the very first points of this ball game being scored sooner than later, because Michigan, for the first time today, for either team really, they are in our territory, but that might not be lasting long if we could bring Coleman down. Oh my goodness gracious, we had two separate opportunities to bring Coleman down for a sack. We missed both tackles, and so it's a first down, but honestly, it should have been like at least a 10-yard loss. But let's see if our boys can go ahead and make up for it, as they are certainly in Michigan field goal range now, as Coleman is going to set themselves up in the shotgun, set a man in motion, as Coleman has a clean pocket to work with, and now it's going to be a red zone opportunity after Chancellor is going to get his second catch of the drive. It's been killing our defense here midway through the first quarter. We'll see if we can stop it here, as that could have been some more yards gained there, but Peter Townsend actually had some solid coverage, forces the drop, and now it's 3rd and long, as now Coleman surveying the defense, but it's dropped at the line of scrimmage. We're able to get a tip on the football, and Michigan is going to be forced to settle for a field goal. So we are only going to find ourselves down 3-0 here, like for the time being, as we'll go ahead and try to get some revenge. Will Hunter looking to change that quickly. He finds a crease down the sideline, and he is gonna be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown, Dayton! And the Triangles are gonna get another one up on that their scoreboard. So 1st and 10 coming up, as they'll set up at about the 26-yard line as we force Michigan to go 3 and out. This is the type of offense that I wanted to see. We get Jonathan McGriff the ball for the first time. It's a 27-yard run, and it ends up being a huge play. And after this completion to our superstar wide receiver, Leon Thomas, well, with that being said, we are now officially finding ourselves in Michigan territory for the first time, because yes, we do have those 7 points up on the board, but offensively, I mean, we were held in check prior to this drive. Glad that we're changing the tone on that relatively quickly. A couple of plays later, though, as we go with a 5-wide set, as we drop back the pass, we find DeAndre Bazier over the middle, and even though we did throw it a little bit behind, it's still a good completion to make this a much more manageable 3rd down, to a point where we want to trust our running game, as Jonathan McGriff once again finds yet another crease in order to end the first quarter of action. And so we're going to finish this first quarter up by a few points, but at the same time, though, I'll tell you what, we're putting together yet another promising drive. So with that being said, welcome back to New Welcome Stadium, as Collar and company will look to get another touchdown up onto the board, trying to throw to the right-hand side, and Grayson Heineck drops it. That could have been a touchdown. Andrew Collar put it where it needed to be, and instead it's going to be 3rd and 9, looking over to right-hand side and wanting to try and locate DeAndre Bazier, but the problem is DeAndre Bazier was just not ready for it. He was well covered. So we ended up having to settle for a field goal ourselves as Michigan will take over. And a chance to once again get him off the field, but Nate Coleman is going to run again. Jared Strong had a chance to bring him down, but just could not get a good enough grip, no diddy, on Nate Coleman. And now Michigan's drive will remain alive as we'll try to recover defensively. They'll throw it over to the tight end, who picks up a good set of yards there. A 7-yard gain on the play as Nick Cotton will be responsible for bringing him down. As now 3rd and short coming up as Coleman is going to run it up the middle here. And it's a good run up the middle against our front 7. That's a massive win for Michigan, being able to run on the #1 rushing defense in the UFL, and that should have been intercepted on the next play. Oh my goodness, Jared Strong, you had it in your hands, big fella. That's got to be going the other way. He was thinking about what he wanted to do afterwards, but that touchdown call will have to wait for maybe another day potentially, as the drive will be continue because of that. As once again, Michigan finds itself in field goal range. I'm surprised they didn't go to the tight end, because I was expecting a little bit more of a like a go route, a little bit more of a deeper route, not an instant out route. So, I mean, the user, if they look towards the user, it was open. But alas, they will decide to go elsewhere, and it will end up hurting Michigan a little bit. Could cost them a few points. Yes, they'll score, but at the same time, though, they're still down by 4. So, with that being said, we have a chance to at least extend the lead a little bit. That's a nice job of being patient and getting a nice cut over there for Jonathan McGriff, who picks up a few yards on that run. We'll give it to him yet again, and Jonathan McGriff will be able to push us past the 1st down marker, as that will give us a brand new set of sticks to try and utilize. However, Will Hunter, while blocking, actually does hurt himself, so he'll have to sit out for a little bit. It's only a bruised shoulder. He'll be able to come back eventually, but for right now, what we will end up doing is we will have one of our custom receivers in the game for the like the time being. We'll see what he does in these particular opportunities, as a throwing situation is certainly going to come up here on 3rd and 4 as Cam Johnson appears on the field and is going to run this post route for us. However, it just ends up being a clearing route for a better receiver in DeAndre Bazier, who ends up being wide but naked open. It's a 1st down for Dayton Triangles. As now 1st and 10 once again. We'll run up the middle for Jonathan McGriff, who nearly dances the safety out of his shoes, but the safety stays with it. Jonathan McGriff is putting together a pretty good 1st half. He's already having 72 yards of rushing, certainly on the verge of a 100-yard day. So to have that before we go into the halftime locker room, that is extremely promising to see, but that's not what we want to see either. DeAndre Bazier is going to be shaken up, but thankfully Will Hunter is okay. He'll return back into the ball game in order to replace A.B. Leaguer. DeAndre Bazier. And it's times like this where we're just happy that we have reliable hands like Leon Thomas and other solid wide receivers like Cam Johnson, the undrafted free agent out of Mississippi Valley State. The Delta Devils product is going to have the final score of the 1st half, as we will take a commanding lead into halftime. We're going to be up 17-6. And when we get started, or waiting to get started, the 2nd half of this matchup, go ahead and check out some games to watch out for around the league. One to certainly watch out for, at least for us, is Pittsburgh and Columbus, as that could help solidify who is going to be in that chase. The DC Defenders are in the playoff hunt as well in our conference, and they'll be taking on the Birmingham Stallions, who are in a similar situation in the NFC. And then finally, the Seattle Dragons are going to be taking on the LA Wildcats, as the Wildcats are looking to try and turn their season around on Sunday Night Football. But it's interesting to see what's happening around the league, because now we'll go ahead and turn back over to our game for a split second. 3rd and 12, and Grayson Heidick happens to be wide butt naked open. He is such an underrated player on our team, and I'll tell you why. You know, Grayson Heidick just always seems to be that guy is forgotten about in the offense, and yeah, he's just a good weapon to have, but we don't do anything with it because, of course, a couple of plays later, we do end up being the team that fumbles the ball. And that was a moment to where we could have made this a game that got out of hand. This could very well keep Michigan in it if we don't handle our business here. 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. They'll dump it off to the tight end, and that's going to be a solid completion before Jordan Baptiste, the backup linebacker, is going to be able to bring him down. As now, a couple of plays later here, setting up a 3rd and inches. We'll be surprised if they're not running it. This is a pass over to the left-hand side, and while Ty Moody is on it quickly, still able to make the catch, and because it was only needed like not even a yard, that was a 1st down that was going to be picked up relatively easily, but we almost turned it around there, though. That was also, looked like it could have been possibly Paul Hitchens that had the near interception, which I've been really impressed about, just really how the secondary is getting after it. They haven't been able to convert it into turnovers, but I mean, we're right there. We're in those good spots for sure. And speaking of being in good spots, Matt Weaver was certainly in one, as Matt Weaver was going to be able to get that TFL, eventually leading to J.J. Peters getting to the quarterback on 3rd and 17, forcing a quick throw. And once again, Michigan is going to settle for a field goal, but that's what I'm talking about. Yes, they just got a field goal, but that's a field goal that they got off of a turnover, though, as Matt Weaver is going to get yet another TFL, this one being forced on the quarterback, as Weaver has that one-on-one matchup and easily takes advantage. So, 2nd and 16 now coming up, as Coleman is going to audible the running back out real fast. He'll get it out quickly to Cam Chancellor, who is having a good day for his Michigan offense. It just hasn't turned into any scoring opportunities because all of those points have came from their kicker. But we could be seeing a different tone here, though, as Chancellor comes down with the catch yet again. He's having a big day. That's his 6th catch of the ball game. As now Michigan on the doorsteps of the red zone, but needed a big play to keep the drive alive, and that's nearly intercepted. That is Paul Hitchens, who had his hands on it once again, as the Michigan Panthers again had to settle for a field goal. And so we find ourselves up by 5, but, you know, playing with fire a little bit. We'd like to see my offense get a little bit more of a rhythm going offensively, at least give us a little bit more breathing room in the event that Michigan does eventually figure out how to put the ball in the end zone. We've been fortunate that they haven't been able to do that yet, but that could always change. You know, it only takes one play to quickly turn things around. But maybe we could get some time of possession off this clock here as we just go back to leaning on that ground game. As right before the end of the 3rd quarter, Collar's going to drop back, and this ends up being fumbled on the ground, trying to dump it off to our receiver. I think it was Will Hunter, and that fumble, I'm glad that we were able to jump on the fumble, but that's kind of been the story of our offense today. Been struggling, and we're only up by 5 going into the final quarter of action here in this one. So here we are in the 4th quarter as we try to find our rhythm back. Now, I want to try to see if we can get a fast one here pulled on with Jonathan McGriff, and it works extremely well. Jonathan McGriff now has over 100 yards on the ground in this one, thanks to that particular carry. And so it makes this a much more manageable 3rd down. And hey, why not continue to ride Jonathan McGriff will get him yet another touch here, and he's able to will himself past the first down marker. He's able to get to the 34-yard line. Their next play, we'll go ahead and try that passing game once again as Collar drops back. Looks over to the left-hand side where he finds his superstar wide receiver, Leon Thomas, as Leon Thomas ends up being a little bit slow to get up off the turf, feeling a little shaken up. He will, however, remain in the ball game, at least for the time being, but something that we definitely want to monitor if he's affected in any adverse way. A couple of plays later, we wanted to try to throw to Leon Thomas. He was open on that medium crossing route, but of course Andrew Collar gets hit as he tries to make that delivery, and now it's 3rd and 9. Looks like they're in a set where they're going to back out here, faking the blitz. Thought we could pull a fast one, but the defensive line stands tall. We could not get to the second level, and we would have to go ahead and settle for a field goal. So we find ourselves here up by 8, but a touchdown, a 2-point conversion can certainly tie things up. Possibly looking at 2 drives left in the game for both teams, so that's exactly what we're going to need. At least 1, maybe 2 stops to win this thing. And right now, it looks like our defense is starting to bend. But what we have seen thus far today is that they certainly have not broken in any way, shape, or form. 2nd and 5 as they try to throw over to the left-hand side, and I thought it was going to be one of those dig routes, but it's a sudden curl stop. So Jared Strong makes the tackle, but again, Cam Chancellor makes the play. He's been a difference maker for the Michigan Panthers today. They're going to need him quite a bit more. They're going to come back. But hold up now. Nate Coleman finding a rhythm offensively. And the Panthers are getting those keys out like it's a fancy car. And they're going out for a drive. So here we go. 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. Coleman throws over the middle. And that's going to be quickly completed, as that will take Nate Coleman to over 200 yards passing on the ball game, and making these next few plays equally critical, as Peter Townsend is so fortunate that was dropped. He was put in a blender on the route. What the kids would say, $1 million move, 10-cent finish. And that turns into a massive play there. That is definitely magnified in times like this, where it's now 4th downs because of that, and they need to pick up this 1st down to keep the drive alive. So what do they call on a critical 4th and 3? Play action, looking over the middle, and it's going to be deflected away. Looks like it might have been Jared Strong with the deflection. And we will be able to run out the rest of his clock, as your Dayton Triangles are going to win once again here on Primetime, winning 20-10. Alright boys, so remember when we talked about how this game could have very much have been like a shootout? Well, I was definitely wrong in this one. It actually turned out quite the opposite, but our defense was more proven at the end of the day, and that really showed, especially in that 4th quarter, where even though we may not have had our fastball offensively, we were able to find a way to win the ball game. Now, for Andrew Collar, he didn't throw nearly as much as what we did in our last game against Minnesota, but he was efficient when he did pass the football. Ends up going 15 for 21, 156 yards and a touchdown. Did end up losing a fumble, which is not ideal by any means, but at the same time, you know, Andrew Collar, he did fine in this matchup. But what was able to allow us to control this game, though, was our ability to run the football, and that was definitely evident in this one. McGriff ended up with more than 5 yards a carry, and he had a workhorse-like stat line. While he didn't find the end zone, he did have 130 yards like on the ground, which is really cool to see. Andrew Collar, we tried to scramble with him a couple of times, and it just like didn't work out for us. Receivers, you know, we actually like did a little bit of a better job of like getting those even distributions. Leon Thomas had a similar stat line than what he had in the Minnesota game, but did lead all receivers with 59 yards. Champ Johnson, however, was someone that came in with DeAndre Bazier being hurt, and then Will Hunter was actually hurt for a little bit as well. So the third-year player out of Mississippi Valley State, got his chance and, looked all right. 2 catches, 17 yards, and a touchdown. Caught the only touchdown from us, at least through the air today. Defensively, Paul Hitchens was all over this field, it seemed like. He had 11 tackles in this ball game, man. He was flying all around the field. And so was his fellow linebacker, Jordan Baptiste, who came out. He has like 7 total tackles in the ball game, which was really cool to see. And while we didn't force any turnovers, we did manage to get a couple of sacks. Matt Weaver was able to get a sack, and then so was Greg Sharp, who is continuing to impress me. And it seems like he's certainly turning into a breakout player in his 3rd season in the league. I do want to give a special shout out though to Will Hunter, as he was able to take one of those cut kick returns to the crib, and that turned out to be the ultimate difference since we ended up only winning by 8. So I mean, had to give Will Hunter that game ball for sure, man. Alright boys, so after that victory, we are now going to be riding a 3-game winning streak. And that just so happens to be the number of games that we have until we go into the bye week. So what we have planned for next episode, and what I want to do because of that, because we are going back to that typical like Sunday 1 like kind of template. So what I want to go ahead and do is I want to play in the moments for, like the DC Defenders game. And then I also want to jump into a San Antonio Brahmas game, which could be huge implications. San Antonio's having an excellent season. And then finish things out with the Vegas Vipers. That'll be our last game before we get into our bye week. So we'll play these 3 games in the next episode, but appreciate you guys coming out and supporting the Dayton Triangles. This team looks like its best alliteration since year number 1, I want to say. It's been a little bit of a 2-year drought, but progress isn't always linear, right? It is not always going to be linear, but we're having that breakout season across the board, and I want to see if we can continue that in the next episode. But with that being said, I am going to get ready to sign off, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you go ahead and do me a favor, hit that like button, and then also hit that subscribe button as well if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John Jake Gaming on the mic signing off, but hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.